Okay, so today I'm going to talk to you about something that is really hard for me to make, to be honest with you, but it has something to do with 40 days in the desert. And this is exactly what I'm feeling right now. So, this is going to be a little bit more personal, and I hope that's okay with you, but I'm just going to go for it. Um, so, 40 days in the desert, what does that mean? Well, okay. Recently, I just got asked to go to New York City and speak with 40 different bishops and teach them how to teach and preach. And if you knew like the types of bishops that would be there and the person that asked me, you would think, oh my goodness, this is insane that you got invited to do this. I'll tell you why this is difficult for me and why I feel like I'm like 40 days in the desert. Okay. And this will make more sense as I continue here. So, this 40 days in the desert thing is a reference to many figures throughout history. However, the one I'm thinking of is Jesus himself when he went off to the desert and was tempted by Satan, and all this. Um, and then you think of Israelites, 40 years in the desert, all this stuff. And there's this constant imagery or theme that I notice in history of being in the desert and being deserted and being in exile. And right now, if you are familiar with any sort of, whether it's Eastern Catholic tradition or Western Catholic tradition, or I think maybe a few others, I'm not sure. There's this period that we're in before Easter, which is your basically Lent period. What this is just a denial of self and preparing for Easter, right? So if I've lost you by now, that's fine. I'm just going to keep going. So here's the issue for me is that I feel like in everything in life right now, I am in the desert. I mean, everything. And the three things that'll jump to mind is this training these bishops things, a period of loneliness that I deeply feel, and then diving deeper and deeper to work with clients that I'm working with. That's these three elements. I feel like I'm in the desert. So back to this Catholic bishop thing. So if you don't know me, I have, obviously experience in the online business world. I'm a music producer as well, investor, and have made, substantial amount of money over the years in the creative space, as well as helping other entrepreneurs think about leverage in their business, especially in the online world. And so this is sort of one side of me. And then another side of me is this music producer type person, creative of an individual, et cetera, right? But there's another side of me where I formally trained in theological and philosophical pursuits, especially with the like intent of speaking or preaching or teaching specifically to the culture. So people who are far away from any sort of idea of God or anything like this, particularly secularists. So, anyways, that's a deep passion of mine, and that's something that I've poured into extensively. And as I'm running my business and working on that, as well as investing and thinking about all of these things, I thought I had a pretty clear picture about what life would look like for me. And I've always looked at it as to focus basically into one thing and just do that one thing. And I'm a huge believer in that. But what ended up happening was one of the top people in the organization of the Roman Catholic Church, who I've gotten to know quite well over the past few months, he got a hold of my teaching abilities, my preaching abilities, etc. He saw who I was trained with and all this, and I made a comment to him just out of the blue when last time I was in the city. I said, "You." I was kind of coming down on him. I said, "The reason why Catholics suck is they don't know how to preach. They don't know how to teach. They don't know how to relate. They're so bad at it. It's just moralistic stuff and get people to feel guilty. And there's literally no." I said, "There's literally not one good Catholic preacher or teacher on the planet living today. Maybe one or two, and I've never heard of them either. They're all either if they're anywhere, they're in the Protestant world. And if they're not even in the Protestant world, they're probably outside too far away, right? And so I made that claim to him, and I was kind of rude about it, but you know what? I believe it. And he said, "You send me your sermons. You send me the way that you think through things, and you send me some examples. And if it's any good, I'll let you know, and you can train our bishops." I said, "Okay, deal." So I sent him stuff. He watched it. And then I immediately got a WhatsApp call back and said, after he went through it sometime, he said, "After Easter, I want you to come here to New York City. I'm going to get 40 of the bishops from the United States here, and you're going to teach us how to preach." So I was very humbled by that. But what was disabling about it, or disruptive about it, is here I am focusing on my work, the people that I'm working with, people I'm working with every single day in my business. And it's my life. I mean, I love every second of it. And I don't feel at all like I'm misaligned or doing something that I shouldn't be doing. In fact, I'm gearing up to go pretty hard in that direction over the next however many years, right? Incredible sort of plan that that I'm thinking is next for us. And so I'm really excited about that. However, I'm going to gather 40 of the top bishops from the United States, and you're going to teach us how to preach from a historically, I don't like Catholics, Protestant dude, was really disabling, because I thought to myself, I'm actually very equipped to do this, and I could do this, and this could change a lot of things here if I were leaned into this. But it really stopped me in my tracks, and it made me think am I actually doing what I need to be doing? That was the honest question that I asked myself. Is this a mission or a calling that I have? This experience that I have, this ability or this interest that I have, is that sort of my mission and calling? And therefore, should I shut everything down and just focus on this? Something about that didn't sit well with me. The question that I was boggling myself with is like, how does this fit into my life? How does this fit into my business? How does this fit into this multi-dimensional facet of who I am? And I think the conclusion that I've come to, and I'm still working through it to be completely honest with you, is I've always thought that I had a linear way of thinking about life. That is, you have one single linear focus, and you just focus on that, and you ignore everything else. And trust me, I just got off of onboarding calls with clients today where I told them to shut down this business, stop this, and just do this. And they're off to the races, and they feel great about it. I'm not at all saying that I'm against focus, because I'm pretty dang focused. It's not that. I'm seeing myself as somebody who's probably more holistic than I used to see myself. And I thought, why does everything have to fit together perfectly? Whether it's I'm teaching these bishops how to teach or preach or anything. And then there's the business side of things, helping entrepreneurs in this way, or I'm helping people exit their companies or whatever it may be. All of these things, they seem so detached. But I'm realizing that I have a holistic picture of life instead of just a linear one. And what it's doing is it's really stretching who I am. And so I'm going to lean into it and not see it as competing. And I'm just going to follow my intuition here and basically expand a little bit more here. So that really stopped me in my trails, okay? And it's something I'm thinking about. Now, as I'm thinking about this whole 40 days of loneliness thing, or as I just alluded to it, 40 days in the desert thing, that whole picture of, does this fit into my business? Does it rock me off my horse and now I go in this direction? And just that alone really disabled me. And it caused me to be pretty introspective about this. And I just alluded to it now. The second thing that I'm thinking about is loneliness. During this last and upcoming 40 days, I have really come to be aware that I am incredibly lonely. Now, what do I mean by this? I'm realizing that because we live in this online world, And I'm not going to say, oh, it's hard to connect with human beings. No, no, I feel pretty connected to human beings. It's not it at all. Because we live in this online world, it's incredibly leveraged. So you can spin up offers. You can, spend money on advertising. You can funnel people in, do this and do that, connect with anybody in the world. It's a leveraged tool that gets me thinking in a very fast-paced way of doing things. And at the old company, that I started, we were closing people every day, blah, 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 this sale is happening, this sale, and we're going to spend money here and do this. And it moved very fast. And I'm pretty sure that the online tool gave us that leverage. But I felt internally that that's how life ought to move at that pace. Now what I'm seeing is because I'm interacting all the time online with individuals, talking to many people from many different parts of the world, I'm seeing that internally my language is changing to where I'm being brought to newer and higher places as I'm interacting with individuals from all over the world, from different cultures and so forth. Again, the whole 40 bishops thing, I would have never in a million years thought I'd be in a position to do something like that, but it's through this online space that I've been able to develop my internal language a bit. Okay. So that's going on. And it's hard because as my internal language is shifting, whether it's working with different business owners or my belief systems, my worldview, my framework changing, all of these things I've been sharing, I'm just realizing more and more if I look into the internal mirror, turns out I'm changing. I'm a different person. And I'm really thankful for that. But when I look up and see my world here, I'm feeling basically a sense of loneliness because I'm now in San Diego and I grew up here. And as I go, and especially here in La Jolla, there's no young people. I just kind of go and go outside of computer world for a little bit. I'm realizing, oh my goodness, does anybody here in my immediate proximity know what I do or who I am, or can anybody relate? I'm realizing more and more that the answer is no. And as I engage with friends that I've had forever, I'm realizing we're different people. And that's not because, I've changed into such incredible heights and they've stayed the same. I don't just mean that. I mean, I've gone through so much internal language transformation that eventually it's going to have to come out. It's eventually going to have to, I'm going to eventually have to speak and be who I think I am. And as I present myself as who I believe I am in front of people that I've known forever, I feel it. It's a dissonance and it's a challenge. And it's like one of those, are you going to stay with me in my life or not? Given how I think about the world and how I'm seeing things and how I'm speaking. And that causes incredible loneliness, to feel like I need to change or tune into, where they are 24/7 so I can relate to them. Where if I just was myself, that would maybe repel them or something like this. I'm just being honest. All of these fears and things that I think through, it's what I'm going through right now. And it's giving me a profound sense of loneliness. Another thing that I'm thinking about with this loneliness thing is I was going for a walk on the beach with a friend of mine I haven't seen in forever. We did music together. I produced some of his music. And I told him about this. I said, I'm feeling, this and this and lonely and so forth. And he said, what do you mean lonely? You have more friends than I've ever, than anybody else I know. And I said, I know a lot of people. That's all. And he goes, okay, I get that. But I'm realizing more and more, I had an instance with somebody this week that revealed something in me that I was very ashamed of once I saw it. And that thing was greed. And there has been multiple times over the last few weeks that there was an accusation against me. You suffer a struggle with greed, or you are greedy, or something like this. But this word kept coming up in front of me. And when I hear that and think, okay, somebody's calling me greedy or something like this, what is that? I had to take a step back and be introspective and think, okay, am I greedy? What is all this stuff? But then I thought to myself, when I look out into the world and I see the things that I hate, it's usually greed. I mean, specific individuals who are so dang greedy or entitled or something like this. I've seen them in my life where they will just become more and more and more and more greedy. And I tend to distance myself from that. Now, when that word popped up in front of me, I had to basically come to terms with, wait a second, you're calling me that. I think you're that. What do you mean I'm that? And I'm realizing that for the majority of my life, because I've really honed into, for whatever reason, of trying to succeed or achieve certain level of success or whatever it may be, I have given off the true essence of myself, which is I will move through life whether you like it or not. And if you're in my way, then you're basically either got to step aside or get trampled over. The honest truth, right? And I had to think about this a little bit. And I said, okay, because I've moved through life that way, I have absolutely alienated myself from people around me because that's how I move. And that causes a negative effect in my relationships. And as I project and look at people who I think are greedy or all this, it's actually just a direct reflection of who I am. And that was really hard to come to terms with over the past couple of weeks. So I'm realizing that my loneliness that I'm experiencing is stemming, I think, from success or greed or something like this. I haven't figured out how to process all this, obviously, but it's something that I'm thinking through, and I think it's what's adding to my loneliness. Another element of this, just the 40 days in the desert, as I say, is I used to have a big team with the company that I started previous to this one. I had a big team, and I talked with them every day. And now I see the people that I've hired are now running this company that I don't even interact with anymore. And I see sort of the fun and the party happening and going, okay, I put this together in some respect. I hired you, I brought you on, and you're going on and having fun. And we used to have so much fun together and all this. And I'm going, oh my goodness, because the internet moves so fast. I lived like 20 years in like 5 years, basically, because of it. I'm missing the team. I'm missing a big team. So my desire to collaborate and be with others is really coming to the forefront, and it's playing into this loneliness thing of being in the desert here. And so I've been trying to engineer collaboration and teams and so forth. And I'm realizing every answer right now is nope, not yet, not yet, not yet, not yet. And it's contributing to this loneliness that I'm experiencing. And when I basically thinking about the last bit that contributes to this loneliness is I feel like deep down I'm converting in every way. I'm converting with how I see the world, my faith, how I see money, team members, family, all this stuff. There's just a conversion of everything, all of the above that I'm going through, and it's all happening at this one time. And one person said it best. I was able to get on a call with actually one of our clients. He has a YouTube channel with 1 million subscribers, and he's like a holistic Chinese practitioner, like with incredible wisdom. His name's Austin Go. You can look him up on YouTube. I was able to get on a call with him. I was honored to. And, I was sharing a lot of this stuff with him. He said, Blake, your journey is always lonely because you're a leader. And if you're going to lead, it's going to be lonely. And for whatever reason, I thought that if you led, people would follow and it wouldn't be lonely. And he gave me some wisdom and said, that's not the case. It's going to be lonely. This is going to be a lonely journey. And I've just been taking that to heart, realizing that that is true. That is the case. The last thing that I'm thinking of with this 40 days in the desert, and maybe this will like come back around, is why does he keep saying 40 days? And what is this? Is I'm getting the sense that I need to completely be shifting into diving deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into my clients, into the people that are right in front of me. It's a huge conviction that I'm having. And I'm really wrestling with this in terms of how do I set up partnerships or engagements or a fund, or something like this? And I'm diving so deeply into it. I'm so convinced that this is the right call, because the vision for the company now is a lot bigger than I thought, and it's emerging newer every day. Just more clarity on this, and I'm just seeing that every answer is pointing to requiring more of me. So more of my leadership, more of my new language, more of the way that I see the world, more of the way of I experience marketing or I see marketing, more of how I see business, more of how I articulate things, more of how I collaborate with people. It's requiring, here's what it is. It's requiring the person after this 40 days of the desert to be fully formed so I can step into it. It's kind of like my weird way of thinking of it. It's requiring much of me. And in frameworks, old language, things that have been successful for me in the past, the way that I show up in life and business, it will not survive or serve me as I look into what's being set in front of me, which is to go deeper and deeper and deeper with my clients. And so what I believe is, after this 40 days in the desert, and I'll reveal a little bit more what that looks like maybe in another video, is up until Easter, which is, I think, the last weekend of March or first weekend of spring or something like this, I'm shifting basically what I think is my entire identity, my entire worldview, entire way of how I see the world, I think will culminate around Easter. And from that moment, I believe my 40 days in the desert will be done. And that after that, I think there's going to be lots of internal shifts for me and external shifts as well, where things will become very clear of how I step forward into life and business and doing all that's required of me. Until then, I'm enjoying my journey in the desert. And that's basically it. And so as I've been making this and thinking about making this, I've only been making these videos because I thought it'd be fun. It's like a creative outlet for me. This is kind of how I show up for myself, essentially. And I got this sick new camera. It's like 4K. So shout out to Den Lenny, Video Business Accelerator, for setting this up, dude. He's the man. One of our clients. And I like producing stuff in 4K. It looks good. So that's basically it. But I will say, this stuff that I'm going through and so forth, I don't share it to try to do anything other than just honestly reveal the things that I'm going through. It's more of a journal entry for me, and it's a creative outlet. And, for God's sakes, I'm a music producer. And so I like producing and creating things. And that's what this is for me. I do also hope that as I'm speaking about all these things, that there will be some resonant frequency there where you understand and you feel like we can connect a little bit. So if there's any bit of like, dude, when you said this, I felt this, I would love to hear it. Just like, I don't know where, I guess in the comments or something like this, just tell me, because I want to start a dialogue and I want to open up, any sort of resonant frequency that's out there where if you feel this as well, would love to connect with you. So anyways, that's it for me. I don't know. There's not much value given there. It's just me trying to connect with you and share with you what, as a business owner, as a holistic person, multiple interests, the things that I'm going through. So I hope it resonates with you. If not, no worries. And I'll see you in the next one.